Shame on me for only reading paragraph 1 and not paragraph 2 of the Wikipedia, because under the section that is titled Decline, I've never wanted to have sex with a pot pie, but like, I'd have sex with that pot pie.
We're all weak to stepping on nails.
Let me preface this by saying I wrote a script.
Daytona Beach is like 2 mild inconveniences for being a post-apocalyptic wasteland anyway.
So many of my tabs say semen.
Are you guys ready for this weird horny adventure that we're all about to go on?
You can't handcuff me for skanking.
This motherfucker gaslights you.
Diet Coke and Sorrow will be chapter 4.
And against all odds, Kyle, we became those swirly weirdos.
This whole podcast is a very negative mouthfeel.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this show, we talk about... the line changed. In this show, we take time out of our busy adult lives. We take time out of our busy adult listeners. This is how the sausage is made, where we copy and paste the same show notes every week. So if something gets left out...
First of all, I would be hard-pressed to find a podcast that does not do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
for real.
I mean, it's so true, but like... I don't know, this is the shit I listen to. Anyway, so we're talking about comic books, video games, and how the real March was the madness we made along the way.
All right.
Well, friends, we're about to, speaking of March, sneak into the 4th month of 2021, and we have gone this whole year
that's
without
April, Matt.
doing a sidebar. Well,
Sneak into the 4th month.
Yeah, it is March.
He's good.
So we're about to sneak into the 4th month.
He checks out.
Now, as much as we've enjoyed cranking out these commissioned flavor texts, commission yours at patreon.com/debatethiscast, our brains are tired, and I'm still working on my 10-chapter dissertation on Ghost Rider. So, instead of sneaking into the 4th month sans sidebar, we're going to sneak in a sidebar here at the end of March. Do you see what I did there?
What the fuck are you doing?
I don't
Are you? Is that
know if
okay?
I saw what you did there.
Are you having a stroke in real time?
And speaking of sneaking,
Do you smell toast?
today I want to talk about the times one of the cursed brands tried to sneak an ad in front of our soft gamer eyes. Product placement is one of the now you see, I saw everybody realize in real time.
It.
Yep, Most product placement is one of the most prevalent forms of advertising in our American capitalist hellhole. From movies to TV shows to books and even radio shows of old, advertisers have never been afraid to fill our happy escapist paradises with thinly veiled psychological attacks on our wallets. So, joining me today to talk about their favorite examples of product placement in video games are Kyle, Tom Hanks in a 2-hour FedEx commercial Harper, Todd, I'll take my luxury car propaganda shaken not stirred Thomas, and Andrew, Sonic the Zillow Hog goes to Olive Garden Henderson.
I forgot about
Got it.
that.
I totally forgot about that.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, you know the one movie that we saw in theaters in 2020?
That's the last movie I saw in theaters, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's the last movie you're ever going to see in theaters. Theaters are dead now, Matt.
Well, that's
After the
not what
war.
Black Widow says. I don't know about that.
I'll raise you. I'll see your Black Widow, and I'll raise you a Morbius and a Venom.
Those movies were DOA. These movies were
true.
never happening.
They were looking for an excuse to kill Morbius. Let's be
They
real.
all sighed really loudly as the world crumbled beneath COVID.
Well, they're also in the Gambit Freedom Bundle that comes with the Gambit movie and the Black Adam movie.
Sorry, all those movies, and Channing Tatum specifically.
Well, now that our dumping on B-list Hollywood actors has concluded, put on your best Don Draper and tell me, I don't know if that's a reference, I've never watched Mad Men.
So, do you want me to explain ad agencies and PR firms?
Oh
Is that
God,
what you're
please
asking?
don't.
I can't handle that.
Todd
again.
understands them now.
Tell me all about your favorite example of product placement in a game. Let's start with examples that are more in the background of your gaming experience. So give me those good subconscious subliminal goodies.
The ones that came to mind immediately for me when you mentioned like subliminal ones and subconscious ones are Nintendo and Sony managed to cram in Nintendo and Sony products into every single game they possibly can. Every Pokemon game, your room features the most current console that Nintendo has released at the time of the game's release. You know, everything in the PS4 Spider-Man game that is an electronic has the Sony logo somewhere on it and is the flagship Sony phone or Walkman or laptop. Those were the first two that came to mind. But like any tie-in game to a movie is product placement for the movie it's a tie-in to. So, that's pretty subliminal. And then any shooting game, the most popular of which, like Call of Duty, gets a lot of ad money from the U.S. military. Any game that features any sort of accurate depictions of rank. I think rank is the big one. You're not allowed to use military ranks in your media property without the permission from the U.S. military.
Really?
And I think so. Like the actual names, like the official ranks, you can and the official hierarchy.
Yeah, the Pentagon has to approve it. All the Captain America movies were written alongside the Pentagon. Believe it or not.
Strange.
And
Didn't know that.
And that goes true for video games too. So any video game that has like U.S. Air Captain whatever gets military ad dollars.
Huh. Interesting.
It's why. Sorry, Kyle. It's why Captain Marvel was such a Ivan Niaj Air Force.
Yeah.
Masturbatory.
Why it took the 2.5-minute Air Force ad in the middle of Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Real quick, Andrew, I get your Ivan Niaj quote, but
Is
now I
that-
think we've said it on the air.
Is that not a universal reference? Did anyone
I
not
want you
know
to
that
explain
reference?
it just to make sure everyone does, because you have to realize that episode of The Simpsons
That's an
probably
old
came
Simpsons
out
episode.
15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that for the first time when you put the meme in our Discord 3 days ago. I've heard you say it and just kind of okay, it must be a thing. I laugh now. That's the social construct.
It's okay. So the reference is
that came out February 25th, 2001.
fuck.
So it's
So
20 years old.
Yeah, the reference is it's an episode of The Simpsons where Bart and Milhouse and their friends start a boy band, and one of the songs that they do, they make a music video, and it's a bunch of belly dancers, and they're singing the chorus, which is Ivan et Niaj, but it's Join the Navy backwards because the boy band was I think it was something it was paid for by the Navy or something.
Yep.
Weird. Strange.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really important to get that explained before we
Thank you.
continue
Yeah,
to
yeah,
say
yeah,
it
it's
this
fair.
year.
Before Andrew
Sorry.
says it 6 more times.
Now that it's in the
episode.
lexicon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
I'm done. It's Todd's
Can I
turn.
real quick to Kyle? I am a grown man who never realized that Nintendo likes to put their own products in their games so much. And I see it now, and I very obviously saw it with the Breath of the Wild that I didn't play and the Sheikah Slate, and obviously that was just aggressive, and everyone was like, okay, yeah, we get it.
It was just the Switch, but given
like-
old runes instead of electronics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
They do it in every Pokemon game too. Like every game, the first city you get to, there's always two kids like, we're so happy to be trading on our Game Boy Link cables, TM.
Yeah.
I love that. That was my favorite in Gen 4, I think, where it was and the GameCubes are connected by 2 link cables.
Well, it's kind of weird too. I've never really thought of it as product placement, but every Mario Kart game has some arena with the console logo on a huge billboard. The first one that comes to mind is the Wario Land on Double Dash that has the huge GameCube billboard in the background, and the N64 logo was in Mario Kart 64, and I've never really put that together as product placement, but it isn't not.
Well, and the first time I recognized it as product placement came from the Sony ones I mentioned, where when one of the Spider-Man movies came out, there was a joke going around as oh, Peter Parker must have won a Sony sweepstakes because he has $10,000 worth of Sony electronics in his room that his single working aunt couldn't have possibly bought for him. But he's got a top of the line Vio laptop, a Walkman MP3 player, and 2 PlayStations in his house. Like of course Sony is going to do that, but it is product placement, and it does like take you out of that bubble a little bit.
Well, so for mine, the example that I came up with for this level 1 product placement, this entry level product placement, for me definitely came from when I was playing NFL Blitz growing up on PlayStation. With NFL Blitz, and I don't know if it was just Midway games, but NFL Blitz, the banners along the rim of the stadium were other advertisements for Midway games, like other Midway games coming out, like Carnival, like Carnival, yeah. So like that was the first thing that came to my mind. Now that's been a bit more refined in the 20 years that have passed, and so the one that I would refer to now is if you have played, one of my buddies plays a lot of FIFA. And if you look at a screenshot of a FIFA arena right now in FIFA 21 or whatever they're doing right now, it's like Nike Soccer, Adidas, whatever else they're promoting via FIFA.
So since 2017, 2015, like around that time, those games actually live update and like actively sell ad space because it's constantly hooked up to the internet. They are constantly selling and changing out the ads that are on the banners in the stadiums. Yep.
Well, that's probably incredibly simple to fix with the patch. And
100%.
they patch those games all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually kind of cool.
That's crazy.
And I think that is a good example of like, this exists and it doesn't impact your gameplay, but boy, it's there and you look at it a lot.
It does, except all those games also show you an ad every time a loading screen pops up or you need to swap a menu or something. It's ads all the way through, baby.
The one that comes to mind for me is a game called Fight Night. I forget which version it was, but it was the first one for 360. And it was, the only reason I know about it is because we had it, one of my friends had it, because it was like a launch title for the 360 or it came out shortly thereafter. And I remember specifically because they were trying to emulate like the experience of watching a sports. And it was like, and now brought to you by Burger King. It's the Burger King 1 minute highlight or whatever, like that kind of thing.
Awesome and terrible.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you have effectively like, I get where you're going with, and I applaud you, game developer, because like you've done the thing, but also like kind of fuck you.
Yeah,
but also
definitely.
I hate it.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's me then. So the one that actually just comes to mind, I came here expecting to talk about Monster Energy Drink and Death Stranding, which we're going to talk about that because that was kind of what inspired this discussion.
That in my searching.
Yeah.
I want to really quick mention Super Monkey Ball. Did any of you guys play Super Monkey Ball for GameCube?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I played Super Monkey Ball.
Okay. So it just kind of unclicked in my brain, but like every time you got a banana, it was just like Dole. They were like Dole bananas.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why they're
true.
advertising fucking bananas in Super Monkey Ball, but like, all right.
Name me 2 other types of bananas.
Chiquita.
Okay,
Chiquita.
one more after Chiquita.
And
Yeah, I got nothing.
Okay.
Giant Eagle.
Kroger brand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Dole did not need to be spending those ad dollars to get their name on Super Monkey Ball, but like, cool, I guess. Like, good for you, man. That rules. Yeah. So let's talk about Death Stranding real quick because that's, like I said, that's kind of what inspired this discussion today. Death Stranding is a dumb, stupid game that I love, and one of the weird mechanics. There's a lot of weird mechanics. It's basically a hiking simulator.
It's absolutely a hiking simulator.
Which, like, for better or for worse, but one of the things you have to do is like you have stamina that is directly tied to your water consumption, and you have a little canteen that you can drink, and that's like replenishes your stamina. However, that water is not water. Oh my god, that water is not water. It is Monster Energy Drink, and it is exclusively titled Monster Energy Drink, and it's written in all caps, and there's a registered trademark because like they don't give a fuck because legal just went to town on this bad boy. But it doesn't stop there. So it's like you get the tutorial. It's like make sure to drink your Monster Energy Drink, right?
My God.
but it's even better because so Death Stranding doesn't really have like a hub or like a menuing system. What happens is you can you stay at not to get like super into the story, but like basically like
Please
when
don't.
you go to the different like main distribution areas, you can like request a room, and that's like you go to sleep and like you can replenish your materials and stuff, and
Sure.
you get your like main menu or whatever. And it does that like that dumb cinematic type of menu where it's like it's not just a menu, you have to like make your character point to different things, and you can point to there's like literally like a stack of monster cans, like, and it's like in super high res, and it's like you can read the ingredients on the monster can, and you can just see like all it's like literally like they just took it's so stupid.
That
And you
sucked.
can like point to your Monster Energy drink can. I love
and
it.
it's only because it's Monster that it reminds me. I had this game. There was a Splinter Cell game where like the first mission has you rappelling from a giant neon Axe billboard for Axe body spray.
So good.
And like of course, like who's playing Death Stranding? Who likes Monster
Right.
Energy drink? Probably an overlapping Venn diagram. But like,
Which is why I wanted to talk about Super Monkey Ball, because like that is not
That's wild. That is
Like-
buck wild.
we're gonna advertise bananas. Like, all right.
Do we
Cool.
think that like in various stages of production of Death Stranding, whoever was the adult just would like take a week and a half off, or like they'd be gone for like a quarter? They're like, oh, what are we developing this quarter? Oh, the fuel system.
I mean,
They can't mess that up, right? Like, yeah, they've got that.
Hideo Kojima has written himself into more of his games than he hasn't. Like, he does not give a fuck. And Death Stranding was like Hideo Kojima completely unchecked.
Todd, the thing you got to remove from your brain too is like it is not a failure in the eyes of the people making
Yeah.
these properties that
Yeah.
the refueling system is titled Monster Energy Drink Stamina Can or whatever. Like they got the check. They get to keep their cocaine budget high. That's a win.
Right.
Like they
Right,
don't
yeah.
care about the integrity of their art.
Good time, not a long time, baby.
Yep.
I'm just stuck thinking about Norman Reedus doing a classic, like, I'm contemplating life pose where he's like one hand leaning up against the wall while
Yeah.
the shower water falls down him. And it's like, select your next mission. He's like, oh, I got to think of my next mission.
You know that's real, right? Like that's part
I
of
assumed.
you
I
do
didn't
that.
see
Like
it.
you
I did.
absolutely
Well.
stand in a shower and contemplate your
I mean, I
decisions.
didn't see it, but my mind's eye saw it, so I've seen
Yeah.
it.
And you can
Yeah.
watch Norman Reedus poop.
That's important to me, the player.
The game's really good, you guys.
Oh my god.
It's Andrew's favorite game of the year.
Yeah, it's the Norman. Well, if it weren't for Bug Snacks, it would be.
Ooh, okay.
I have a certain amount of solidarity with Norman Reedus in that moment because I'm sure in filming, filming, that's a weird word, but filming that video
It's
game.
not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he drank an enormous amount of Monster Energy drink. And I've told this story before. I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast, but I like did a 1 month brand deal when I was working in radio with Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel, like
Yeah,
G
you did.
Fuel.
Oh yeah,
A
yeah.
1 month
I-
G Fuel cleanse.
Dude, so it was the biggest paycheck I've ever received in my life, and I would do anything they told me. And they told me, go to Walmart and drink G Fuel and tell people how good it is. And I said, you got it, coach.
Sure.
And for a month, I did nothing but drink yellow G Fuel. And like, I felt unwell a lot
Yeah,
of the time.
how was your pooping? Was it more frequent? Was it less frequent? Was it upsetting?
And, dude, every orifice of my body had a burn and an ooze all the time. Like, it was just always bad. Everything about it was terrible. Anyway, so I have examples of product placement in video games. My first one is more of just like an Easter egg. Because, there are tons of great examples of product placement in video games, but I had just talked about GoldenEye a couple of episodes ago when we did the Waluigi thing. And in all of my research for GoldenEye, I was reminded that there is an Easter egg in GoldenEye where you can find the VHS copy of GoldenEye on a desk in a security office.
Oh wow,
God.
Yeah, they put the VHS of the movie in the game, which is like
it's kind of cool.
dumb and weird, and it's more of an Easter egg than it is like a brand deal or product placement, but it's real and funny. And I think there's a voice line or something about it if you listen to some security guard. I don't remember. You can't interact with it at all. It's just like a fun thing to find. But in the vein of Sony and Nintendo putting their own shit in the game, like somebody was like, hey, we have this GoldenEye contract, we should put GoldenEye in GoldenEye. And they did, and that's kind of fun. My other example, though, of like background product placement that doesn't affect the gameplay, but baby, it's there, is I'll say a buzzword that we put to rest in 2020, but Overwatch, and just kind of Blizzard in general. But Overwatch has a board called Blizzard World, where it's nothing but advertisements for other Blizzard properties. Yeah. And you can interact with a Hearthstone map and find World of Warcraft characters. Like, Blizzard put Blizzard in the game so that people could play more Blizzard.
Hearthstone is like a big like cross promotional platform for Blizzard at this point. They had a Diablo like week where you would get Diablo card backs and like did a special Diablo based mission. They've done StarCraft more than once on Hearthstone. Like, yeah, if we're talking cross promotion of your own stuff, yeah, Blizzard's definitely up there.
Yeah, so Overwatch is my example because it's the only Blizzard game I play, but like there are what's the game? I don't even know. StarCraft. Thank you.
StarCraft, the most popular real-time strategy game for like a decade.
Yeah, all I know of StarCraft is that one time we talked about StarCraft before an episode, and we all said we'd never play StarCraft. That's my whole experience. But you know, there are StarCraft skins in Overwatch. There are Diablo skins. There are League skins. Like, Blizzard loves Blizzard and just wants to give Blizzard more Blizzard. So,
before we move on, more I thought of, because I'm gonna be a huge wet bummer this whole time, is any racer you play that has the official car name, 100% paid product placement. Those brands paid to have those cars put in front of your face for 8 hours a day.
The Gran Turismo games come to mind because those games, they were the first to have licensed cars and they couldn't show damage.
Yep. Oh. And then any shooter that uses the real names of the guns you unlock and use, 100% product placement to get you more familiar and comfortable with the concept of those weapons in your day-to-day life.
And killing people.
And
murdering a man.
Yep.
Violent video games lead to violence in children.
Comic book games, I would say, is the other side of that. Like, like the old Spider-Man games, like the old Spider-Man for the N64, you could collect like Spider-Man comic covers.
Yep.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else probably used some good product placement? Mark Davis's The Fishing Master. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the game Mark Davis's The Fishing Master.
Can we go to the next question, please?
Yes, we definitely can. Talking about collectibles was actually a really good segue, because it is cool to see like a billboard or a poster for a real world product in a video game, and it can be overdone super quickly when a game makes a real world product integral to the plot of the game. So I would love to know about some of your idea, like the most egregious examples of video game product placement that you are literally required to interact with.
So mine isn't required, and I've got a different one that I didn't write down. That's not a video game, but it is gaming related. So the first one I have is like Mario Kart has that stupid Mercedes-Benz tie-in in Mario Kart.
It's incredible,
8.
and I didn't know about it before this very moment.
It's lame.
I didn't play that Mario Kart. Was that the Wii U one?
It's the current one.
The Wii U and the Switch
it's
one.
Mario Kart
8.
Yeah, I barely played 8, and I did not know this was
so
real.
It was free DLC on the Wii U, and then it's just included, like they're some of the cars and wheels you can unlock normally in Switch because it's the same game.
This is impossible.
But it is a Mercedes-Benz tie-in for Mario Kart. So you've got your like wacky Mario Kart racers that like shoot goops and shells and banana peels at each other, driving alongside a real, like there are 3 different ones you can unlock, real Mercedes-Benz models, like next to these with a giant cartoon Mario coming out the top.
You've got like the bullet bill rider, the baby stroller, and then Mario's stupid dumb head hanging out the roof of this Mercedes-Benz, and I can't get over this image.
So that was the first one that came to mind with this question. But the one that is like real, I'm not going to be able to avoid interacting with it if I continue playing this game, is Wizards of the Coast announced last month that they are beginning to tie in actual other franchises into Magic the Gathering, and that is starting with a Lord of the Rings set and a Warhammer 40K set.
Not even like dipping their toe, like straight in for the plunge.
They dipped their toe already with they did the Godzilla promos, which were
right.
they reskinned actual cards as Godzilla cards, and then they did the Walking Dead set of 5 cards, which was the first, they are not reskinned cards. They are uniquely named for Walking Dead characters, and it was a runaway success. So now
So you're telling me we're going to get Norman Reedus drinking Monster Energy
as a Magic card. Yeah. Nice. 100%. Until this point, they'd only done it for super limited promotional cards that weren't legal in competitive play that you would get at a convention. So there was a Transformers one that you if you pre-registered for the convention, you'd get the Transformers Magic card, and there was a My Little Pony one, and it was cute and fine. But these are going to be competitive, legal, real ass sets that have Gandalf the White as a legendary Magic creature.
So weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's for something they've avoided doing for 25 years. It's left me and a lot of other people with a sour taste in their mouth.
They got to make that money.
Yeah.
So Magic is already Hasbro's most profitable division by a wide margin because
D&D isn't?
Because they invented the loot box concept.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot more money coming in and out than Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. But they Hasbro wants more, so now they're doing the official tie-ins.
Yuck.
What all? This isn't super related, but what all is under Wizards of the Coast?
Magic the Gathering,
and Dungeons and Dragons are the 2 big ones, and then they have it's a whole games division, so they have other smaller games.
Gotcha.
Pokemon.
Do they own Hasbro?
Hasbro owns them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pokemon,
Do they do Pokemon?
was originally distributed in the U.S. by Wizards, and then when it got too big, they sold off the distribution rights to someone else, but it's not Wizards.
Cool.
They also apparently have a lot of Magic properties. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, it's all Magic spinoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Todd, that moves us on to you, and the first thing you have written down here was one I also had thought of. So I want you to at least acknowledge it now, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the one that makes us all feel good and nostalgic than the one that is super weird. So the first more in your face product placement that I remember experiencing as a child was Tony Hawk. When you played Tony Hawk, you get to customize your board. Back then, I don't think I realized that the grip tape and the wheels and all that were branded for specific companies, but they totally are, which makes perfect sense. I mean, if you are a skateboard wheel company and Tony Hawk's making a game, you're going to be like, let me do this.
Well, aren't the boards all Tony Hawk's brand, his designs that went on his boards at the time too?
Yeah.
I think the designs are.
Yeah, he had a line of boards, and that's
Makes sense.
that's skateboarding.
Sure.
You just you sold you got sponsored by everything you wore and put on your board anyway. So why not put it into the game?
Yeah, I mean, Tony Hawk owns Birdhouse skating, and there was so much Birdhouse stuff in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, and I think that it was such a push for Birdhouse that you had to unlock and purchase Birdhouse boards because they were better than pretty much everything else.
I think after Pro Skater 2 or 3, it was a product. The games themselves were a product of Birdhouse. So the Birdhouse logo would pop up in the opening scroll, even
I feel like that might be real. The other example I have is way more wild, and I didn't remember this until we started doing some research for this episode, but I do remember this. So in 2005, EverQuest 2, if you remember EverQuest, an online game that I don't know if it's still live or what the iteration is now.
I don't believe it is.
I had the demo for it, so I got just far enough to make a character and then never play because we had dial-up internet in 2004, 2005.
Right.
But in EverQuest 2, they started a promotion with Pizza Hut where you could, in the chat, type /pizza, and then a pop-up window would open and you could order your pizza online in this pop-up window.
No way.
Shut up.
But like, since this is still 2005, the person would still deliver a pizza to you and you still had to like answer the door and pay in cash. Like you weren't paying through like mythical currency in the game.
Yeah.
But this is a super real thing.
Holy
that
cow.
You could like, I don't think this was the first iteration of ordering pizza online, but it was certainly the first iteration of ordering a pizza through a video game.
So to follow up on that, Todd, on the Xbox 360, Pizza Hut was the first like non-gaming company to develop an app for
Of course
a console,
they were.
so that they were the first pizza you could order off your Xbox, and that was like a big headline.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Knowing that the 360 came out at a time when you could order a pizza from any device within your hand's reach, you know.
Yeah.
But thinking that this is like, I mean, just some of the images with the EverQuest like pizza promotion, like that you would see of an EverQuest character with a pizza really close to their face. It's just wild to think that like, who approached who?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, who came to who and was like, "Hey, we've got an idea for you."
This is
that we think makes
100%.
sense.
This is 100% Pizza Hut. I can't.
You think?
Oh, I was gonna say, I bet it was Sony, who was like, "Hey, we have this functionality. Like, we need someone to pay for it. But, like, we have this functionality where you can place orders in a side or game." Also, real quick, actually, I want to say, according to Eurogamer.net, as of September 2022, both EverQuest and EverQuest 2 are still active.
Shut the front door.
Damn.
EverQuest has 66,000 subscribers
Wow.
and 82,000 monthly active players. EverQuest 2 has 21,000 subscribers, 29,000 monthly active players. EverQuest 1, the oldest MMO, one of the oldest MMO games, more than 20 years old, still being played today.
Damn.
Well, and they relaunched it within the last 5 years, I think, because it was a big to do on Reddit, and because now you can play it. You can play it on your phone in browser, and it's the same game.
Now, were we talking about EverQuest? Or were we talking about RuneScape? Because I know they just did a relaunch of RuneScape.
I'm thinking RuneScape. Never mind.
They did RuneScape. EverQuest is
Rescind
just
it.
exists.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. I mean, EverQuest is like N64 era graphics. Like, it's really gross.
Yeah.
And it's like some pretty old archaic MMO
Yeah,
stuff.
RuneScape will get advertised to you if you're anything like me periodically on Facebook. It'll be like old school RuneScape.
Yep.
And you're like, who is this for?
That's
the answer is
100%
it's for
the
my
one I was
wife. She
thinking.
used to play RuneScape. It is for my wife.
That's funny.
Really?
Yeah, bully her next time you see her.
We will do that.
Andrew, I want you to talk about your
Oh,
stupid thing.
boy.
That you
Yeah,
talk
it's
about.
time.
Final Fantasy 15. So I've mentioned this on the show a couple times. I think Final Fantasy 15 is a very dumb, stupid game that I've 100%, and I hated it every single minute. I have a very sordid history with this game. One of the most egregious parts of this game, and like one of the 3 times where I was like, "Fuck off!" when I was like actively like playing it,
Threw down the
furious.
controller, like stomped
Yeah.
around your apartment at the time.
It was similar to when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and I was just like, eat my asshole, eat my whole fucking asshole, Tetsuya Nomura. So okay, so I won't get into the history. Final Fantasy 15. I mean, it was in development for like 8 years. A lot of people like just Google it. People that are listening.
This is
It-
the Drive
it
the
started-
Car one.
This is the Drive the Car one.
Yeah, it is.
It started as Final Fantasy 13 Versus. It was announced in 2015, 14, I believe. So it had a 6-7 year development cycle. Very, very sordid history. It changed directors. Tetsuya Nomura was attached to it. Then he got kicked off because he was dicking around with Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Well, at one point they had to do a ton of rewrites. The game is not finished. The game kept having to create more and more DLC. They made like a side movie. They did a bunch of like a fishing game. Like they never fucking finished the game. And it as when you're playing the game, like it's so clear, like things are just like you can tell like they spent a lot of time on figuring out how to drive the car and make it fly, but like they couldn't finish the story, right? And so there's all these like weird things that happen. One of which, and you're kind of walking through one of the main towns because there were only 2 main towns, and you're like you get healing. It's kind of like Earthbound, and like you get healing items through food. And you just like go to a vendor and it's like the Cup Noodles logo, right? You're like, oh, that's weird. Okay. And you know what? Again, like it was 2018 when this came out, 2017, 2018. I don't remember.
2016 on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox, and then
Thank you.
18 for everything
Holy
else.
shit. So yeah, 2016. So then it must have been announced in 2010. So just like this happens, right? This is a thing in games. Well, as you progress through the game, there is a side quest that like gets thrown at you. Like you don't seek this out. Like it gets shoved down your throat, called the Perfect Cup. Final Fantasy 15 features your 4 main characters. They're the 4 bros. You play as Noctis, and you're hanging out with his 3 best friends, Prompto, Gladio, and Ignis. Gladio is like the big burly, like your tanky character. He talks like this. And I transposed the scene because it's like a minute long. I'm gonna link it in the show notes, but like it's fucking wild. So Gladio like stops you. He's like, "Hey Noctis," he's like, "You're talking to." He's like, "We should go get some cup noodles," and he goes, "There's nothing else like them. They're easy to make whenever you've got a craving, and they're delicious to boot. I'll never forget my first time." And then like. There's like the quest, and so you're just like, this is just the idle chit chat as you're like running through the town, right? So like, there's a cutscene that plays, and like Gladio literally like stops Noctis and turns around. He's like, "Something dawned on me when I was on my own." There's a point where he just mysteriously leaves because they planned to make a whole DLC with Gladio and they never released it until 2 years later. Anyway,
Great.
Any food you make tastes better when you use good ingredients, right? Then if you take something already delicious like cup noodles and add in the finest, freshest ingredients, what do you get? The ultimate flavor experience. So I ask you, Noct, what's your favorite ingredient? So then the quest it can branch off in one of 3 ways, and you pick either meat, egg, or shrimp, and you go and fight. You go and like hunt. This is a thing.
Yeah.
This
No,
all
this is
exists.
real.
And you go and you hunt a different monster based on the cup noodles ingredient that you're going to make.
This is a sin. This
Yeah,
is a
it's-
goddamn war
it's
crime.
the
I hate
fucking
this
worst.
so much.
It's the fucking worst. So you do the quest. It's not the best part. This is the best part. Okay. So you do the quest, and then like the wrap up dialogue, they're all just sitting around a campfire eating their stupid cup noodles. And Gladio goes, "You know something? Going through all that trouble to make our own custom cup, it's made me appreciate cup noodles even more." And Ignis is like the group chef. He's very proper and prim. He's like, "Perhaps we truly can't improve upon perfection." And then Gladio, "It's not about finding the single best ingredient. It's about crafting that perfect blend of meat, egg, and shrimp. That harmony of flavors is key." Prompto is like the goofy best friend. "Yeah, you're right. Makes you appreciate how delicious these noodles really are." And then Noctis, the main character, "I know I sure do." It's a whole commercial.
I hate that.
It's a whole
My God.
goddamn commercial.
Oh my god.
It was like they literally like Tetsuya Nomura was just like, "Here, cup noodles. Like, here's the keys to the car. Just write us a quest." And that's what they did. And you have to do the quest.
I want to know how much Cup Noodles paid
Yeah.
A lot,
to
a lot,
force
a lot.
force you. Like, if it's a lot, I'm more okay with it than if it was like, yeah, here's $5,000. Put us
Oh, I
in
bet
your
it
game.
was an immense amount.
I'm sure it was
I guarantee you
in the
that-
millions. Yeah.
Well, it was. We were talking before we recorded. It was like it was like Chuck and Subway, like season 2 or 3 of Chuck and Subway. Like this game wouldn't. I imagine this game wouldn't have existed if
Yeah.
not for this cup noodles deal.
Probably not.
Because this game was just on. It was a dumpster fire going straight to hell, and they needed to get some money back fast so that they could just finish the unfinished game. So like yeah, I imagine this quest had to happen in order for us to have Final Fantasy 15, and it fucking sucks.
Now, Andrew, did I see a really good Photoshop, or do you get a weapon or a skin from
Yep.
completing
You get
this mission?
I believe you get a cup noodles helmet or something, like a hat.
Incredible.
It's terrible.
Oh, I love it. I love it so
mean-
much.
Much like Matt and his gamer fuel. I want to be clear. I would sell out. I would sell out hard.
Yeah.
I would sell out super hard if it didn't like have any negative consequences on other people. Which like debatably, the morality of pushing gamer fuel and aggressive cup noodles quests might hurt people, but I would sell out.
One of the
So
more
I get
tame
it.
things you could chill for, I think. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
if
Yeah.
we're shilling, like game fuel and cup noodles are higher on my list of acceptable things.
I mean,
than-
I
than
don't
others.
do a ton of energy drinks as is. I drink a lot of coffee, and if I drink an energy drink, it's probably something that's more like not chemically enhanced. But like if Monster Energy was like, "Hey Todd, would you like to replace half of the water you drink every day with just Monster Energy for $5,000 a month?" I would say yes. I would say
Yeah.
yes instantly, and I would stop sleeping. Because to me, that's what that costs for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget the day that like my boss came to me in the studio of the radio station and said, "How do you feel about selling out for Mountain Dew?" And I was like, "Well, I was born in 1993. My whole life has led to this moment."
Every decision I've made before this point has led me here.
Yeah. Well, my example is not nearly as egregious and ridiculous as a cup noodles quest. But I want to talk about this game that I have in real person called Nerf and Strike Elite.
My God.
Yeah. So this is very clearly like a Nerf branded game, but that's not the part of this that I want to talk about. I bought this game back when I was doing a Let's Play YouTube channel, and I was going through this phase where I was really depressed in my job, and so I substituted happiness for going to the game store and spending $20 on shitty video games.
Can't imagine what that's like.
I know, right?
You can't buy you can't find nor buy joy at the bottom of that sale bin, Matt.
Yeah, well, you know, there were some gems and there were some busts, and Nerf End Strike Elite sits in this weird situation where, like, if you want to play a hard as shit rail shooter on your Nintendo Wii, I recommend Nerf End Strike Elite, an incredibly difficult rail shooter that is a Wii exclusive. And if you were asking yourself if it used motion controls, the answer to your question is yes.
Good.
But
Thank God.
what I want to talk about is that Nerf End Strike Elite and, well, Nerf End Strike, and then the sequel that I own, Nerf End Strike Elite, because they did make two of these games, came out to co-advertise for a new line of Elite Strike Nerf guns.
Of course it did.
Yeah,
And
it's
those
great.
Nerf guns had an infrared sight on them, a little screen that you flipped up to like look through or whatever. And this game requires you to own the Nerf gun so
up.
that you can read the door codes by using your red piece of
that's
plastic.
stupid.
Fuck
And if you
off.
don't have the red piece of
Incredible.
plastic, you can't open the door.
Oh, that's so bad good.
Nerf, another division of Hasbro.
I was gonna make a remark of when do you think that Nerf will run out of adjectives, but I think what you've said is just a better line to go down, and that's horrifying.
And so I said off recording before we started that I had all of my game examples in person, again, because I collect shitty old video games. But I wanted to read you the line on the back of this box because when I bought this, didn't know I needed to have a Nerf gun. It says, use the lens to reveal hidden messages, enemy weak points, and more. And it doesn't say like that lens isn't in the game. It makes it look like on this picture on the back of the box that the lens is in the game.
That's
all it
sucks.
says, except for right beside where it says and more, it says nerf.ea.com, where you can then buy that gun from EA's Nerf website.
Now, Matt, I have a very specific question to your situation personally. Did you buy this game new or used?
Used.
I'm wondering if there was a promotion that included the tiniest, worst gun from that line for an extra $30.
Or like a really shitty monocle.
Was it like a pack-in? Like maybe you bought it. It was like in a box and it was just like attached to the box.
I think what we're probably missing, what most likely happened, is this game is designed for real fans, Matt. And so real fans would have known.
Yeah.
And just calling it like
You
I
just
see it.
outed yourself as a fake Nerf fan.
A fake Nerf fan. I mean, I guess that's what I am, but it was like for all intents and purposes, I mean, it's a rail shooter ass rail shooter. It's got a Nerf branding on it. But if rail shooters are your game style, this game is not bad until you get to the doors that, let me remind you, you cannot open without this plastic peripheral.
Is there a workaround? Can you get like any old red lens and red gel and just look through that instead?
The answer to your question is probably. I can
Okay.
tell you that we just like, basically it's a door code where like there are 40 letters on the wall.
Yeah.
And it just has, you know, like if you look through the red lens, you can see which grouping
form
of letters lights up. It doesn't take long to figure out that every door opens with a code word, and there are
like
40
Dart.
words, and there are like there are only 40 letters, and there's only 4 full words in those letters. So you just guess and shoot until you get there. But
Gotcha.
I was pretty upset when I realized I had to buy a Nerf gun to play this stupid game. Well, now that I need to run to the store and buy a Nerf gun so that I can play this game that I've reminded myself I haven't finished, we're going to take a quick break so I can do that. At least that's the headcanon that I'm playing in, and we will be right back.
Hey everyone, sorry if you were expecting the Wii Shop music. Lucky for you, there are like 1,500 covers on YouTube and Spotify and wherever else you stream music. I'm here today to tell you that we would like to fill this slot with something other than the Wii Shop music. We've sort of reached the point with this podcast that we would really love to take on a sponsor or two. And we're not looking for your quips or your lawnmowers or your purple mattresses, although I would very much like at least 2 of those 3 things. I'll let you decide which 2. We are looking for indie creators in the nerd space just like us. We are not trying to get rich off this show. We just want to help spread indie nerd culture around the globe. So if you are someone who makes dice, if you are an artist who takes commissions, if you have a video game or nerd or comic related brand, we would love to run an ad for you on the show. We've put together some sponsorship packages, and we've made sure to keep the price point low enough that people like us would be able to afford it. So if you have any interest in advertising with us, or you know someone who might, shoot us an email and get in touch at debatethiscast@gmail.com.
Welcome back from the product placement in this podcast.
Yeah, you went to go buy a gun.
Yeah, that was
Not a gun, a Nerf gun.
We put an ad in our podcast about ads. There's something there. Anyway, before we go, I want to take a quick moment to talk about games that don't contain product placement, but literally are product placement. So let's stop and acknowledge our favorite branded video games. Kyle, go for it.
I'm so glad I get to go first because I get the best one, and that is this in 2006. Burger King released 3 games for the Xbox and Xbox 360 that featured their mascot at the time, the King, which was this like abomination.
Yeah.
It was a masked person with like this deliberately creepy king mask on.
The greatest ad campaign of all time.
The kind of caricature that you would like race around the bases at a minor league baseball game for fundraising.
Yep.
Absolutely.
They released 3 games: Pocket Bike, Big Bumpin', and King Sneak. Or Sneak King, I'm sorry. All for the Xbox and Xbox 360 for $3.99 each. They were the cheapest Xbox and 360 games available at the time.
What a sell. Pay $4 to get an Xbox game. Like, that kind of rules.
And I'm pretty sure if for the first month, if you bought like a value meal, you could buy them for $2 through Burger King or something.
Hell
instead.
yeah, dude.
Like, because that's the kind of stuff Burger King was doing. They are legitimately fun games. They came out in 2006. We were still playing them in like my college dorm my freshman year, 2 or 3 years later. Like, they were legitimately good, like well put together games. We were joking before we started recording. Sneak King. I keep calling it the wrong thing. Sneak King was the spiritual precursor to Untitled Goose Game, because you just snuck around as this big-headed mascot and caused mischief. Not unlike a certain goose from from our favorite game of last year. So that's my favorite one. And then like the Need for Speed series in general is just targeted product placement for all the cool cars you get to drive. And those are good games that are product placement top to bottom. And that's fun too. But the Burger King ones are my real answer.
Those Burger King games were so good.
It was
So
like a
good.
phenomenon.
Yeah. I remember, that was before the word, oh, this is just a meme was, really in the world's lexicon. But, I remember those coming out and everybody being like, oh, this is a joke, right? Burger King made their Happy Meal toy this month, and it's in the shape of an Xbox 360 game. But they were good games.
And then your friend with, a little too much money bought one, and you played it, and you're like, oh, my God, this is actually fun.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that came to my mind that were product placement, the game, the experience, at least the ones that I played. So you go way back, and there's 7-Up's Cool Spot, where you played as the little Cool Spot character and you jumped around. And then one that I actually played that I remember not being terrible was McKids, the McDonald's game.
Was that an adventure game?
Yeah, so it was an adventure game, kind of felt not terribly unlike Super Mario 2, where you would just run and jump and you could pluck items and throw them. Okay. And if you watch the gameplay, it doesn't look terrible. But the two that I want to talk the most about were a staple for everyone, Chex Quest. So that's mid 90s. It came in a game of it came in a box of Chex. It was effectively riding the wave of Wolfenstein and Doom. And it was a fully functioning first-person shooter game.
I've got good news for you.
They've done more.
It's back. You can buy you can. It's all online now. It's an online game, and you buy checks and put in the codes, and you get in-game currency or
my God,
to unlock the next area or whatever. But it is back, and I remember whatever gas station I was in and saw the bag of checks with Chex Quest is back on it with a big sticker. And,
excellent.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because they know that all those people that played it, 20 years ago
now have kids that checks and games. Yep.
The last one, though, a bit more wild. So called Yo Noid. I don't know if you guys remember the Noid. Truth be told, Domino's stopped using the Noid by the time Matt was born. That is not a joke. That is actually the reality.
Yeah.
That they stopped using the Noid. So for those who have been uninitiated, the Noid was this goofy-looking man in a tight red outfit who was a bunny-looking creature. It was always trying to steal pizzas. And Domino's thought that this was good for a mascot, and it wasn't, because it was weird.
It was the first ad campaign that worked because it was so off-putting. It was...
Yeah.
I specifically remember being a baby, and my sister telling me that the Noid could sneak into your house at night, and I did not have a good time with that. But anyway, Yo Noid. So the storyline for Yo Noid, it's an adventure platformer. In Yo Noid, wild creatures led by Mr. Green are running amok around New York City. As they cause havoc, the mayor of New York, who canonically at this point is David Dinkins, in case you're curious who the mayor of New York was in 1990, he calls upon the Noid to stop his evil duplicate, save everyone, and give him a massive pizza award. Because that's all the Noid really wants is pizza. It looked fine. But I just thought it was funny that one of the last outings of the Noid was this game, and then Domino's was like, guys, we...
Do you know why they ended it, Todd? Because I knew why they ended it before we started.
Tell the story.
I feel like I heard it before, but you go ahead.
So the Noid actually ended before I was born as well. So Matt, this isn't just a dunk on how young Matt is. But in January of 1989, a man named Kenneth Lamar Noid, who was mentally ill, thought the Noid campaign was a personal attack, and he took a Domino's hostage with a gun and held the employees hostage for 5 hours until he got hungry, forced them to make a pizza, and they snuck out while he was eating the pizza. But after that, they decide it wasn't a good idea to continue the Noid
Maybe we
campaign anymore. So yeah, that is why the Noid campaign ended, not because
This one,
of
go ahead.
the off-putting character of the Noid not
like-
selling pizzas properly, but an
my
actual
God.
danger caused to Domino's employees.
I'm looking. So shame on me for only reading paragraph 1 and not paragraph 2 of the Wikipedia, because under the section that is titled "Decline" is in bold letters Kenneth Lamar Noid. So, but it does look like he made a brief return in 2009 on some T-shirts.
Yep. The Noid, not Kenneth Lamar.
Not Kenneth Lamar. Noid, to be specific. Yeah, the Noid was horrifying. There was also a second Noid game where you played a pizza boy carrying a pizza, trying to not let the Noid drop water balloons on you, because obviously a water balloon would ruin your pizza.
Sure.
And he's dropping
Whatever.
them from an airplane,
Oh.
which in reality would just kill you. So
In 2017, there was a sequel to Yo Noid made called
good.
Yo Noid 2: Enter the Void.
I've closed the Wikipedia page, Kyle. I can't go back.
Man, irony is a hell of a drug.
Andrew, tell me your stupid thing.
Speaking of drugs, let's talk about Big Pharma.
Oh no.
Oh, is that
yeah,
what we're doing
so-
today?
Did
We
you guys
already
know that-
covered military propaganda.
Yeah, did you guys know that Big Pharma had a Super Nintendo game out in 1992 about type 1 diabetes?
Is it
Shut up.
Is it Dr. Mario?
No, it's not Dr. Mario, actually. It's called Captain Novolin. Captain Novolin, so listeners, if you're familiar with this, you most likely are familiar with this because of Angry Video Game Nerd. So for a while, some like the game Pepsi Man, this is one of those games that is like a staple of YouTube gamers to guffaw at, because it's laughably bad. It's terrible. It came out in 1992, sponsored by Novo Nordisk, a pharmaceutical giant known for their line of diabetes insulin. Novolin was their first non-DNA featured insulin. So this is a very, very old type of insulin before the current type of insulin that we have now. I worked with diabetes for 4 years. Anyway,
My mom is a type 1 diabetic, 100% uses Novolin. Like,
yeah,
I
probably
looked,
Novo.
I looked it up.
Or does she use Novolog? That's like
I don't know. I looked it up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
These bottles look very familiar, though.
Yeah.
I
So
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Captain Novolin. So obviously that it's named for Novolin, which was their first brand. So the deal with type 1 diabetes versus type 2 diabetes is children. If you have type 1 diabetes, you were likely diagnosed as a young child. And the major difference, if you don't know, if you're listening, the major difference between type 1 and type 2 is type 2, it used to be called adult onset diabetes. That is more your body has your lifestyle, has kind of like the things that you eat, the things that you've consumed, the exercise that you've done has like trained your body to not be able to produce insulin or to produce insulin less. Type 1 diabetics cannot produce insulin. Their bodies have never been able to produce insulin. So those are the two major differences. That's why they're called that. So for kids that are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, they have to learn how to regulate their sugar intake, which is not something that most kids have to figure out because kids just will eat whatever. So there is a lot of education that's required for a young type 1 diabetic, and they have to learn to notice the signs of like being hypoglycemic. Like it's a very important thing. So this game came out, was sponsored by Novo Nordisk, but actually created by a company called Rava Systems, and the president had previously worked with medical companies before. So the idea is like they wanted to create an educational piece for patients. So this was created, I believe, with good intentions, where like when you fire up the game, there's like a long list of like, here's like recommendations, like talk to your doctor, but like here's some recommendations it was all about training young kids, teaching young kids how to have a healthier lifestyle. So Captain Novolin was he was like a superhero, like a diabetic superhero who had to fight off alien invaders who look like junk food. he has to. Meanwhile, Captain Novolin has to eat healthy meals to keep his blood glucose within a safe zone, right? So it's like
really
it's very
on the
educational.
nose.
Yeah, it's very edutainment, right?
This doesn't feel as good to laugh at as the other ones do, Andrew.
Well, and,
Yeah.
and I'm actually like I don't want to laugh at it. I actually think this is like a really interesting idea.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
want to
Yeah.
defend it. I don't think it's fair to like to make the yucks. Like it's funny because it's a bad game, and I get that. But I think it's actually really cool. And Novo Nordisk distributed 10,000 free copies to hospitals,
Oh,
which
nice.
again is very
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like it very much has the same energy of that Spider-Man comic that everybody had, that he had to fight off the anti-smoking, like the dare villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys just remember that comic. You know you've had it.
Yep.
It is kind of like that. So it's like one of those things for if you were a child at a very particular point diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, you probably interacted with Captain Novolin at some point. So I think it's a cool thing that we really haven't seen much of. I don't think I happened to be working for a hospital around the time that Kinect came out, and there was like a good 2 or 3 years where orthopedic units were using the Kinect as a type of rehab therapy. And it just like it was like one of those things, like I think like medicine and healthcare has always been trying to figure out how to make games work. And I think like they haven't gotten that to that point yet. They haven't really figured it out. I think like there's definitely been some novelty things. We've seen like Wii Fit, right? We've seen the current Pilates wheel thing for the Switch, like, but healthcare generally hasn't figured out how to make gaming work yet for their needs.
Well, it wasn't until 2019 that we got Buff Dragon Monster.
Ring
And
Fit
that was
Adventure.
where- Ring Fit Adventure.
That's
with
what I meant
Buff-
by the Pilates wheel thing. I couldn't think of
Yeah.
Ring Fit Adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they perfected it.
Yeah. So Captain Novolin, check it out. I mean, again, it's not a very good game. It's very silly, but it had the best intentions.
Cool. Well, I have one more just to wrap us up here, and it is a game that, like, again, it's product placement, the game, but it's not a bad game. Like, it's fine. And that is Razor TM Freestyle Scooter. And my favorite thing about this is that TM is on the side of the game case. Like, it does not just say Razor Freestyle Scooter. It is Razor. Don't you forget we're a brand because it's trademarked Freestyle Scooter, which I think is pretty fun. But Razor Freestyle Scooter is just like any Tony Hawk game or that like Disney skateboarding game that somebody in our friends group all weirdly had, unless that missed you guys. But
that ain't me, dog.
Nope.
bummer. But my fun thing about the Razor Freestyle Scooter is like while the game itself is pretty decent, and again, like it's just you pick one of 10 kids and then you pick your color of Razor scooter and then you
scoot around the skate park.
Yep, you go do some tricks. Some of those tricks are named after Razor and other like Razor attributes. But my fun thing about Razor scooter is that the back of the box description is written in a like very bland size 12 sans serif font with zero personality. Every punctuation mark is a period, and like it looks like somebody wrote this in the Razor's brand office on the way out the door and was like, oh wait, we need something for the back of the case.
Friday at 4 p.m.
Gave it to the interns to do.
I thought I would read you the back of Razor Freestyle Scooter, and I'm going to do my best to read it the way that I think it was meant to be read as it was typed.
Perfect.
Razor Freestyle Scooter is the opportunity to take your scooter into the fun box. Control urban thrashers who cut through massive, radical environments. Perform tight tricks like heel flips, candy bars, cans, and supermen. Add to the time bar by pulling off fat, P-H-A-T, fat, pulling off fat air on insane ramps and half pipes. Grind ledges, high-flying wires, barrels, and benches. Collect tokens scattered throughout each level to unlock the coolest parks and characters. That's the back of the box of Razor Freestyle Scooter.
Feels like the right energy, too.
Someone put the word fat with a PH on the back of a video game that came out in 2000.
Yikes.
That was 100% written by a 64-year-old man. Who had a list of terms in front of him.
Do you think somebody like originally made a draft with FAT and then somebody else struck through it and look with a red pen was like,
Fat.
no. Yes, I mean,
Well, someone made it big, and he's like, no, I know what the kids.
Yeah.
I know what they want. They want
They're all
that
about subtlety.
fat.
Yeah.
They want that fat air.
It is that meme of, I think it's Steve Buscemi, like the hello fellow youths, like that is the back of this case. But the last thing I have about Razor Freestyle Scooter is that while the game itself is fine and the back of the case is written by my grandfather, the soundtrack fucking ripped, you guys. Yeah, it's like somebody had played a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game and got nothing but the fact that the music had to be good. And so it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs. It's all by like random punk bands you've never heard of. But if you are into skate punk and music a la Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, this soundtrack super rips. Sloppy Meat Eaters is a punk band that I'm a pretty big fan of because of Razor Freestyle Scooter. Like,
excellent.
Amazing.
yeah. X number 5 is also really good. I like had a couple of their albums on my iPod growing up because of Razor Freestyle Scooter. And last but not least, if you haven't looked at the case of Razor Freestyle Scooter to see the face of fear that the kid has, it is something else.
Just a kid scooting in the void.
It is the most 2000s game cover.
Oh my god. This is like the guy that did the background like text. He got his grandson, who's never been on a scooter before, to go off a ramp that's just a little too big.
So that's what I have for my example. I don't know if anybody else has anything. Andrew, you mentioned Pepsi Man, which like is a game we don't need to talk about, but needed to be mentioned in the product placement episode.
Yep, for sure.
Anything else from the peanut gallery before we wrap this one up?
I love this. I think it is incredible how far we've come, and yet how much more room we have to fall. Like this is one of those spaces where both the ceiling and the floor are so far away.
Yeah.
Like I don't know which one we're actually closer to.
I think we're actually in this like weird period of like not too egregious product placement because there's more money to be made on jamming your game full of loot boxes than like product placement. Although you could look at all the all the Marvel tie-ins and stuff to like Fortnite as the new era of product placement, which
totally
is very real and happening.
Yeah. See also any mobile game.
A new product placement each month. Like it's very real and happening.
I think there's new ways that games can keep themselves relevant and a bit more income positive without having to immediately just hard sell out. But I do think those avenues still exist.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, FIFA's still selling digital ad board space on their digital soccer stadiums in
Wild
10 million homes across the world. Like insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, I think on that note of games selling ads inside of their space, it is a perfect time to wrap up this month's Sidebar. So thanks for listening in to Debate This. You can follow along with the arguments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Debate This Cast, or on our website at debatethiscast.com. While you're trying to distract yourself from the impending doom of late-stage capitalism with podcasts, consider checking out our new show. We started a Disney Plus watch-along podcast for the new Marvel shows called The Plus is Loose. By the time you're hearing this, all of our WandaVision episodes will be available for download, as well as the first few episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so check it out wherever you get your podcasts, if you're into that sort of thing. And if you are curious, Plus is spelled exactly how you think it is just loose with a P.
Oh man, that doesn't get any easier.
No, it doesn't go down smoother anytime.
No.
We're in like month 3 of saying it, and it's not getting better.
No.
And finally, if you'd like to score some bonus content from both DT and PIL, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/debatethiscast. Until next time, I'm Matt Cole.
I'm Kyle. Drink a verification can, Harper.
I'm Todd. Sponsor me, please, or don't. I guess it'll be bad either way. Monster Energy, Thomas.
And I'm Andrew. BetterHelp is out there. That's www.betterhelp.com. Henderson.
And we're saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.